You take the good, you take the bad, and you have the facts of the Guardians 2026 first half. There was some good, there was some bad. We'll talk about it all, where the Guardians have been, where they're going to go. We'll re-rank the prospects with a new 2026 draft class, and we'll check in the 2025 draft class as well.
Parker Messick, Cleveland Guardians. You're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on to another episode of Locked On Guardians. Hope you have enjoyed all of our draft coverage the last couple of days, as well as recapping the Guardians' end of the first half sweep in Miami. Not really time for a break, right? But Guardians are going to get one anyway. We'll talk about that as we go on. We'll get into deeper draft coverage. On today's show, though, we'll check in on the 2025 draft class a little bit, as there's been some big promotions. We'll tell you what those mean. We'll re-rank the top prospects in the system a little bit. We'll do a quick run through on that of where the new draft picks fit, as well as some guys who've been some risers and fallers. But starting off today's episode, talking about the good and the bad of the first half and where the Guardians have been and where they're going, because to know where you're going, you have to know where you have been. This is Locked On Guardians, your only Cleveland Guardians daily podcast that covers your team every day from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKDOWN. Get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, trade on anything. And I am Justin Lada, your host for today's show, giving Jeff the day off. It's a comp day for his birthday on Saturday, since we spent 13 hours with all of you on the draft over the weekend and then some. So app day off for him. And I know he's watching the home run derby because he loves the All-Star break. He loves the home run derby. He loves all of the exhibition baseball. It's his favorite thing to do. I'm sure it's exactly what he's doing on his day off. Let's get into things for the Guardians in the first half, the good in the 2026 season. So we talked a little bit yesterday about the comparisons of 2025. And I always say, comparison is the thief of joy, right? But that's kind of what we do as people. We compare ourselves to other people, and for good or better or worse. But we always want a point of comparison for everything. And the way I look at it is this. The Guardians at game 97 a year ago. The Guardians have played 97 games this year so far. They are 51-46. Game 97 last year happened on July 19th. The Guardians lost 8-2 to the Athletics at home. And they fell to 47-50. They were 11 games out of the AL Central. So I guess one of the things we can talk about the good for the first half of 2026 is that the AL Central is a little bit weaker. Let's be honest. Detroit has really stubbed their toe. They have put themselves in a bad situation. I've seen people go back and forth on Twitter about trading Tarik Skubal, and some people are saying that, they have to go for it and this, go for the chance here. They can come back. It's a weak division. The AL is wide open, and they're not wrong. But I also have some opinions too about not trading Tarik Skubal, that they don't want to be stuck with just a draft pick for another Cy Young type pitcher, or Cy Young pitcher. They traded Justin Verlander to the Astros, and they got Daz Cameron, and God, I can't remember the rest of that trade. It was a horrid trade to the Astros for Justin Verlander. They got nothing in return that ended up being any good for them. You trade Tarik Skubal right now, you're going to get a haul. Like even as far as rentals go, you're going to get a haul. So I understand those Tigers fans too, who don't want to hang on to Tarik Skubal and get the equivalent of a draft pick for him or nothing next year. How it's going to go. You get one draft pick. So I understand that too. It's a rock and a hard place, and that puts the team in a hard spot performance-wise. It puts the front office in a hard spot. So the harder things are for the Tigers, the better things are for the Guardians. And right now it looks like a two-team race from the Guardians and the White Sox, who probably are going to continue to add as well at the deadline. And they've got the farm system to do it because they just had another great draft, and they've already, done really good with their farm system as it is. But the Guardians have the AL's wide open. They have the AL Central's wide open. They have a better shot this year. They're not going to need, at least at this point, they're not going to need a miracle run to go 20-7 in September to close the gap. The control of their own destiny is still, right in front of them at this point. And at this point last year, like, the Guardians already lost Luis Ortiz. They hadn't yet lost Emmanuel Clase. And we were looking at stats from a year ago and seeing where things have improved. A year ago, we were talking about how good the first half was for, a guy like Kyle Manzardo. He had a really good first half, right? And Steven Kwan was your second best hitter. Jose was at a 135 WRC plus, so 35% above league average. Ironically, what has happened here, and I'm going to take this as a good because this means they should replace him. Last season, Carlos Santana at the break, a 97 WRC plus. This year at the break, Rhys Hoskins, a 95 WRC plus. So you essentially replaced Santana with Rhys Hoskins. They are giving you the same thing. They are a few ticks below league average when it comes to creating offense. And again, the WRC plus stat is where 100 is average, and it kind of weights all of the things that happen for a hitter, whether it's a walk, a single, a double, a triple, a homer, hit by pitch. Those things are all have different values. You can't treat a home run the same as a walk, right? They're not the same outcomes. So they provide weight to each outcome, and they strip out the league factors as far as the park for like run-friendly environments like Coors Field and pitcher-friendly environments, things like that, and they scale it to league average where it's 100. So Rhys Hoskins and Carlos Santana both have ticks below league average offensively. They decided enough was enough with Carlos Santana, and they cut bait. This year, maybe a little bit different with Rhys Hoskins because they are in the race, whereas at the time they finally cut Carlos Santana in August for him to catch on with another team, they were out of it. So at least I thought they were going to be out of it. So maybe they treat that a little bit differently, but I'm going to take that as a sign. Maybe they can upgrade over him. Your offense last year in the first half was held up by Jose, Kwan, and Manzardo. This year, very odd. It's held up, though, by Chase DeLauter. We talked this yesterday. Brian Rocchio. Jose was above league average, but not the best version of Jose. And now you got Travis Bazzana. Hedges is up there as well, which, it is what it is. You got Jose, and then you got Angel Martinez, who's been hurt. And David Fry is, pretty close to league average for as frustrating as he has been. Gabriel Arias coming in with a 91. Manzardo is at a 91 too. So if we're saying, well, I had different expectations. Plus, Manzardo's not providing great Gold Glove defense at a shortstop or third base position. But this team had other guys too, like CJ Kafis and Daniel Sheeman on the roster. But a year ago, we were talking about Bo Naylor at 75, and Brian Rocchio was at a 49 WRC plus, and you had 74 plate appearances from Will Wilson, and Austin Hedges was carrying a 102 WRC plus. The Guardians, in 2 more games in the first half this year, have scored 30 more runs than they did a year ago. Now, granted, they are still in second to last place in runs scored in baseball at 385, despite scoring 30 more runs in the first half than they did a year ago. The one thing I think they done better this year so far is they are at 93 steals. That puts them at 5th in baseball, whereas a year ago they were in 10th in baseball in steals, but only at 78. And they've only played 2 more games. So that is a significant amount of more steals in the first half. So I like the more emphasis on running, and you especially have to do that more with guys like, especially more impressive, I would say, actually, with Jose being out and Angel being out, because they're runners, especially Jose leading the way in that. I wonder what I'd have to look and see and strip out what Jose has done stolen base wise, because he has accounted for 24 of those out of the 90. So I guess that's essentially the difference between a year ago, right? 93 and 78. Yeah. So that kind of does strip out the Jose factor, though. But the commitment to running is extremely important to this team, whether Jose is in there or not, because, again, you don't have the thumping offense. The Guardians are still in last place when it comes to slugging percentage and home runs and isolated power, all these areas. They are still not a team that hits the ball a long way hard very often. So they have to run, but you have Bazzana who's going to run. Rocchio has been better at stealing this year. Arias has had a couple steals. You've used PD Halpin. Angel was running, but you got Bazzana who could run. So I want to see if Kwan runs a little bit more. He's got 6 steals and 7 chances as well. Watson has 8 steals and 9 chances since he's come up. So I like that addition of things here so far. So speed is one of those things I think has been really important. And over a year ago in the first half, you had Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams and Logan Allen and Luis Ortiz and Slade Ciccone and Ben Lively and Joey Cantillo and Colby Aller all making starts in the rotation a year ago. And obviously Ortiz was gone by this time last year. This year, it's the 5. It's Gavin, it's Tanner, it's Parker, it's Joey, and it's Slade. They've made all the starts. That is incredible. They are the only team in baseball that has had 5 starters all the way through in their rotation, which, knock on wood, because that is an incredible thing to do in this day and age. The Guardians are kind of a miracle worker when it comes to that. They don't have the depth, so that's extremely important. Logan Allen is their depth right now, and beyond that, it's a lot of rookies. So that is exactly what they needed. They're getting it, and I kind of wonder if that was intentional for the Guardians. Not that they were predicting they could stay healthy, but they had to do so in a way that, approaching the pitching staff, that they needed this pitching staff to stay healthy and peak in season rather than go into April and May, already ready to go and hit the ground running. Whereas you get to June and July and August, hopefully that's when you hit your peak and you have gas left in the tank for the end of the season, the stretch run. That's the most important thing. And so far that's held up very well. They have gotten better as the season's gone on for all of them, I would say. And hopefully that means they have gas left in the tank too, as they kind of ramped up. And that's what they've tried to do the last couple of years. And that's a huge improvement for this team. We'll talk more about the good and the bad of this team in the first half compared to a year ago. We'll re-rank some prospects as well with the new draft class coming into town and some other guys moving up and down. We'll talk about those promotions as well and what those mean. And we'll do a quick check-in on the 2025 draft class on the rest of this episode of Locked On Guardians. The All-Star break for baseball season is here. And if you didn't know, now you do. You can trade every game on Kalshi, including the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby, all kinds of fun things. If we go over and look at what's going on during the All-Star break, I'm going to skip the Home Run Derby. On when you're listening to this, it'll probably be, it will be over. So I won't give you any picks there, but I will just tell you unofficially, Ben Rice was my pick overall. But as far as the All-Star game, yeah, things are trading and predicting pretty well for the NL. Not really surprised there right now. And as I'm recording this, it's trading at a 56% market there for the National League. Not surprised there. I'd get in on that. I never felt something so good for that. MVP is the only AL one on there is Jordan Alvarez. So you can kind of see there. Kalshi is trading everything and it appears against the live market. There's no house. So as the probability changes, you're buying in and out of your position however you feel. Limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code LOCKDOWN to get $10 off when you trade 10 KALSHI. Kalshi trading anything 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Then contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. And support for today's Lockdown Guardians comes from our friends over at Indeed Sponsored Jobs, because when workplace chaos hits you, you need the right hire. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you connect with candidates to employers who match specific skills, needs, likes, certifications, locations. Less time searching, more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. And the minute we've been talking, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Personality hires, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. I feel like I'm a personality hire sometimes too, but that's not all that just fits into things. You want to make sure you're finding the right fit overall, and personality does come into it. Sometimes it can really change the outcome and the culture of your whole organization. So you want to make sure the person checks all the right boxes, and sometimes personality is definitely part of that, but you want to make sure the skills and criteria are all there. Check all the boxes. Less time searching, more time interviewing candidates to check all the boxes. Find the right person to cut through the chaos. That is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And Locked On Guardians listeners, you get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get the premium status for your job it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just tell them you heard it on Locked On Guardians. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. As always, I want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. And of course, I did say I'm your host, Justin Lada, who has been your host here for the show for the last 4 years, joining Jeff Ellis, who's been here for 8 years, spending over 19 years now covering the minor league system in the draft between us. If you want more of the Guardians coverage, you want more of the show, more after the show is over, check out the Everdayer Club. You get access to ad-free versions of the show on all your favorite audio platforms. With a special link, you also get access to a private listener Discord that lets you chat with other Guardians fans, Jeff, myself, other listeners of the show. And there is a Discord channel for literally every show and every team we have. And our Locked On Network. So if you're a fan of the Buffalo Bills or the Chicago Bulls, the Cavs, whoever, you can chat with other fans, other hosts as well, all on those. Check it out at lockedonguardians.supercast.com. Go to the link in your show notes. Get a 7-day free trial when you sign up any single time. Look for more announcements on that coming up. Speaking of being an everydayer and an insider, we've got an insider group chat coming up this Thursday at 8 o'clock. I sent that out to all of our everydayers and insiders, the link on Google Meet. So we'll be hanging out there on Thursday night. So if you want to be part of that, make sure you're signing up for that. You can go to also join subtext.com/LockedOnGuardians to get in on that. If you're not interested in the Everydayer Club, there's 2 different ways to get in on that. All right, so before the break, we were talking about things that have gone well for the Guardians. I think it's pretty obvious what hasn't gone well for the Guardians, right? The offense hasn't been great. They've struggled. I would like to see them walk more. I think they did that more later in the Minnesota series, Miami series. We'll see if that keeps up a little bit more. But obviously the Jose injury, he wasn't himself before the injury, and now he's been out for over a month, and he'll be out for at least another 2 weeks. Same with Angel Martinez. So that's what's gone bad for them too. And obviously the bullpen has had its cracks, right? The bad part here is, a year ago, I think the bullpen, I don't know if I'd say the bullpen was a little more reliable a year ago, because a year ago you had Clase, right? You had Smith. That made it a lot easier. But like Paul Sewald was hurt. You had Gaddis a year ago, who actually Gaddis is better this year than he was a year ago, despite all of his hiccups at the first half last year. He had a 385 FIP. Right now, Hunter Gaddis goes into the All-Star break with a 346 FIP and a 264 ERA, so a little bit better. A year ago, Matt Festa had just joined the club. He was a little bit better a year ago. But Jacob Junis was a big part of this bullpen. Kobe Allard was saving you with a lot of magic out of the bullpen when you were getting blown out. But, Sobrowski was hurt. Tim Herron was ineffective like he has been this year. Nick Enright was here, and then he was hurt. You were, saddling up Zach Kent up and down the system a year ago too. So it was kind of a mess at points. And you're trying to use Joey Cantillo out of the bullpen too. And I think that was probably not his best role. But yeah, it's unfortunate that Sobrowski has not been the same since the injury. But overall, I mean, you've got, Frank Wallemon's up right now, and he's looked pretty good when he's been here. Daniel Espino's had good moments when he's up. Colin Holderman's turned into a pretty reliable 6th or 7th inning guy in front of Hunter Gaddis. And, Sean Armstrong needs to be better for sure. So right now you've got Holderman, Gaddis, Smith as your reliable guys. You can sprinkle in Alamon through that, and everybody else is kind of a chalk things up in the air. They need to figure out the bullpen a little bit. So I would say that's probably the biggest hurdle to clear. But what you have to look forward to in the second half is this. Yes, I think you do have to keep your eye on things like Chase DeLauter, and he's played 81 games. How is that going to hold up in the second half? I think you do have to worry about that, absolutely, because he hasn't ever gotten that far. How he adjusts. Same with Travis Bazzana, but these guys have already kind of hit a rookie wall, and they've adjusted through it. DeLauter has. We'll see if Bazzana does, because he's kind of hit it as well. But they're as the league gets more tape on them and more experience against them and pitches against them, they're also going to be able to adjust back. And I trust Bazzana, at least hitting wise, to adjust back for sure. We'll see if Cleo Watson can do the same thing. Last year though, offensively, like, where were you hoping for help from? Because I'm looking at last year's offensive group. The second half last year, your reinforcements ended up being George Valera. Yeah. You were still hanging on to John Kenzie Noel. Jonathan Rodriguez came up. Petey Halpin was up. CJ Cathus came up. Those were your reinforcements a year ago. Your reinforcements now are Jose Ramirez and Angel Martinez, and you still need to add outside of that. But it's second half adjustments from DeLauter and Bazzana. You're going to have them. I think Steven Kwan has turned a corner. I've seen a lot of people talking about trading Steven Kwan. I would not do that right now. He is coming off the best month of the season so far. He had a good month of June. He's having a great July so far. We'll see if that keeps up. The biggest changes for Steven Kwan, the defense is still great, but the biggest change for him is he has stopped trying to pull the ball and he's stopped trying to hit in the air. He finally adjusted to the fact that pitchers are throwing everything to him high and away, high and away, high and away. Don't want him to pull the ball. They don't want him hitting the gap. They don't want to ambush home runs. He's getting everything away in the zone. So instead of trying to pull the ball and he's hitting all these ground balls and these pop-ups because he's trying to get around on the ball, well, now you see all these hits he's had lately. He's slapping the ball the other way. He's getting a lot of hits down the left field line. So that is way open for him again. And that, he still has enough speed to get doubles off of that. If we look at his expected weighting on base average, which if you're wondering what expected on base average is, so weighted on base average is kind of the same thing as WRC plus, where it weights all of the offensive outcomes you can have, which is, again, walks, singles, doubles, triples, homers, hit by pitch, and they put a weight on those. And obviously a home run is worth more than a walk and a single. But expected weighted on base average puts these things in. It's quality of contact, so it's your exit velocity. It's the launch angle. Did you hit it at an ideal angle, meaning not on the ground and not too high, where it's most likely to turn into an out? And it also weighs in your sprint speed too, to see if you can make one of those grounders into a hit. And it's giving you more skill-based versus outcomes-based. So about 330 to 340 is pretty good when it comes to expected weighted on base average. And for his career, Kwan's normally about a 316, by the way. In the month of June, it was 317, so very close to his career average, which is what you want because he's been pretty bad this year up until now. And then in the month of July, it's 368, which is one of his career best. So he's starting to figure things out a little bit. Even if he's just only going to play against righties, that's fine. When there's a righty on the mound, make sure you have your best lineup out there. Try to win and do what you have to do to maximize what's on this roster. And whatever happens against lefties is what happens. You got to figure things out and you got to play your best lineup. And then the defense obviously is still stellar. So the Guardians aren't going to be able to trade. I don't think it makes sense to trade Steven Kwan at this point. I've seen people talk about it. They had an offer for Leo DeVries a year ago from the Athletics, and he ended up going to the Padres for Mason Miller, or from the Padres to the Athletics for Mason Miller. That kind of value is not there anymore for Steven Kwan, so it makes no sense to trade him at this point. This team doesn't have anybody else to replace him right now. He's playing well. There is no point in trading him. You're just going to sell too low. You're not going to make your team better this year or next year by trading Steven Kwan. So I think he is here for the remainder of the season. But again, surging Steven Kwan. Jose comes back. Angel comes back. You still have your reinforcements in Bazzana and DeLauter are here. You can trade for something if you need it because you have the farm system right now. That's what you have to look forward to in the second half. So I think it's a lot better situation for the Guardians going in the second half than it was a year ago. Obviously, you're going to deal with inconsistencies, but you're getting really good exposure from Cleo Watson up here in the majors, even if he has hit some skids a little bit. But you're getting these guys used to the majors, and hopefully by September, they have figured things out, and they are a big part of your stretch run for another division title. And again, you're only competing with the White Sox right now. I know the Tigers have been better lately, but man, they have about 2 weeks here to figure things out before they have to get deep in negotiations on what they're going to do. So I would not want to be in their shoes. All right, let's talk prospects and promotions next. Check on the 2025 draft class to wrap up this episode of Locked On Guardians. Baseball players, they are known for their routines, most of them anyway, at least pitchers. I have my own as well. A lucky jersey, pregame ritual, sticking to the same preparation every single day. I wear the same jersey or same kind of clothing to multiple games if the Guardians win, and I change it if they lose. Consistency matters, though. And when it comes to hair thinning, a lot of products out there make promises, not a lot of confidence behind them, right? People are looking for solutions that are backed by real science, that are trusted by experts. And Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, the official hair growth partner of Major League Baseball. What really makes Nutrafol stand out is it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, just like player development. It is designed to fit your routine while addressing the root cause of thinning and personalized solution. A lot of baseball players are careful with their routines, and I think the biggest thing anymore is people are looking for science and credibility and trusted formulas and things that work out. So you want to make sure you're choosing products that you use that are trusted by the experts that are using it themselves. So find out why Nutrafol is the only hair growth supplement brand trusted by Major League Baseball. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On Guardians customers $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Keep up to date with all things Guardians and Locked On Guardians by auto-downloading the show every day, whether you listen on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Pod, whatever. It's all out there. Hit the bell on YouTube. That gets you notified when the episodes go live if you're subscribed, as well as reaction videos to everything. When we go, do live streams as well. We'll probably do one for the trade deadline when that gets here. So all that good stuff you can find over there as well. So a lot of fun promotions happened yesterday. We alluded to them at the end of yesterday's podcast. So Alfonso Rosario is going to AAA. We'll just kind of work our way down the ladder. So Alfonso Rosario is going to go to AAA. That'll be an interesting outfield on AAA and how they get playing time, because Cooper Ingles getting a lot of playing time in the outfield down there, as he should. His future's not a catcher here, and if they do trade him, at least he has maybe another team feels like he can catch, but he needs more outfield reps if he's going to stay here. Unfortunately, I don't think CJ Kayfus is a priority. Ralphie's getting time in the outfield as well, as he should. Rosario goes there. Like, maybe Rosario gets some time in center field in Columbus. Like, he's not really a center fielder, but maybe he gets some time there, because they've been playing a lot of Diane Frias in center field down there, especially with Petey Halpin up in the majors. Rosario's not coming to the majors this year, though. I want to make that clear. I saw some people saying, well, maybe Rosario's a guy who can come up in the second half or in the stretch run. Rosario is not coming up this year, because the month of April and May were pretty rough for him in AA Akron. He had a strikeout rate of 41%. He had a great June where he was able to trim that, and he hit, I believe, 7 of his 13 home runs in the month of June. Was 24%. So there's going to be an adjustment period for him hitting in AAA. That is a huge gap. There's a huge gap between AAA pitching and Major League pitching. AA to AAA is no longer the big jump. The big jump is AAA to the majors. But it's still a big jump, AA to AAA. Don't be surprised if he hits some big home runs there, though, too, because the league doesn't know him yet, and there's coming out a lot of scouting reports. And on top of that, Huntington Park is a very hitter-friendly ballpark. So don't be surprised if he gets off to a hot start there. That'll be interesting. Working our way down to AA, that's going to be interesting as well, because Nolan Schubart is going there, Dean Curley's going there, and Aaron Walton is going there. And there you got Aaron Walton, who's going to join the outfield with Jason Churio, along with Ryan Cesarini. Nolan Schubart will split time at first base in the outfield and DH with Bennett Thompson, who's gone from catcher to first base because he's not really a future catcher either. And good on Cleveland for kind of making that move now. And they also believe in Jacob Cozart as a defender. So no shock there. Luke Hill was already there. He's on the IL since June 24th with a shoulder issue. So, Dean Curley will continue to get reps at short and third. He'll split around with Jose Devers and Christian Knapsack and Alex Mooney are all there. But the outfield should be fun between Walton, Churio, and then you get some time with Nolan Schubart, who I think, like I said, will play mostly first base. Walton, to me, has been the class of the 2025 class. He has great defense in center field. He's got the arm. He's got speed. The exit velocities have come around for him quite a bit. He still strikes out, which is at a rate that's scary, but doesn't make you hold your breath every time he's at the plate. But he's been really good. I think he's been the best player in the class from a year ago. Luke Hill was really good before the injury, but I'm wondering how much that holds up. I think Aaron Walton, just with his pure size, is really going to hold up. Schubart, had a 43 game on base streak at High A Lake County. I don't think he'll keep that up very long at AA. Got a lot of strikeouts there. It would be very hard for him to play the outfield in AA Akron. I'm sure he will play there, but he's not a good defender, and the ballpark is bigger in Akron and harder to navigate. It'll be great for guys like Aaron Walton to play out there with, but I would expect Schubart to be a first base DH a lot of times there. The other big bit of news, Juneiker Caceres is coming up from low A to high A to Lake County. He'll turn 19 in a couple of weeks. He's got 10 homers. It's just having a ton of great games down in Hill City. And I was not convinced we were going to see him in Lake County until much later just because of the age. That's a really great development. It's going to be tough going for the hitters in Lake County because, you're going to have Tommy Hawk and Lavalette and Caceres and Welbin Francisca as your main offense. And I don't know who else is going to join them because outside of Dory Fernandez, there's really nobody else in low A that could come up. And I don't know if Fernandez is quite ready for that yet, but there's not a lot of guys. So maybe Lake County will get some draft picks to help them out. But you'll notice that the only guy who hasn't been promoted from last year's class so far is Jace Lavalette. And this is not to sit here and kick the guy when he's not playing well. This is not to, pat our shoulder or, pat ourselves on the shoulder. But again, he's not even playing as well as Noaln Schubart, who was a 3rd round pick out of Oklahoma State, a worse conference in college. He got promoted to AA. He's not a good defender. He's got similar power, less speed, but he's hit better. So he's earned the promotion. Walton, Curley, Schubart, Hill, all those guys have moved up so far in the draft. So it's not looking good for Jace Lavalette. He's going to spend they needed more outfielders. They need more people to play to fill out the roster in Lake County. So that's a piece of it too. Don't get me wrong. But, a 1st-round guy like that would have been a priority move if he was playing well. So clearly the Guardians don't think that he's playing very well. And on top of that, this is a level, again, we've talked about he should be able to handle as an SEC kid. So it's definitely a red flag that he hasn't gone up yet. This is an area where he should have already succeeded at. So we'll see what happens there in the future. Harrison Bodendorf, too, will join the Lake County rotation. I really like his size and pitchability, and he can turn over a changeup. So he'll add something to the rotation there, too. Just looking at overall the prospect rankings, I'm looking at my ranks from earlier in the year. So I got to cross Bazzana off, who was number 1 because he graduated. Messick graduated. He was number 7 coming to the year. So he's graduated. I got to rip off. Let's see. I know Peyton Paulette's gone. So he's off my list. He was at 25. Trying to think who else is on my list I got to let go of. I'm going to take George Valera out completely. He was at 19 for me. He's going to fall out of the list completely. Chase Mobley was 29. He's immediately coming out for me right now. I can tell you that. Cal Steven, I got to move him way down after having elbow surgery at 4. So right now my top prospects are Ralphie Hanau. I got to take DeLauter out. So that's an easy one for DeLauter to come out. So right now I've got spots 1, 4, 5, 7, 19, and 29 to go that are all there. So I got to go Ralphie Hanau. I think I'm going to stick with Doughty at number 3. That just seems so easy for me right there. Everywhere else. I think I had Caceres at 15. I think I would probably go Caceres up there at number 3. I think that's the easy way to go, is to go to Juneiker Caceres at number 3, even though he's really young for the class. Oki, I got to move way down because he's really struggled. I'm moving Brito way down because he has struggled. Walters has got to come down because he struggled. I had him at 18. I could probably move Cleo Watson up because he's up in the majors. He hasn't graduated yet. I could probably move him up. I got to move Rosario up. I could move Curley up. They were 22 and 23. I got to move Luke Hill way up from 28. I might move Will Hines up a little bit because he's been pretty good. And Alaman can move up as well because he was at 30. So that's been pretty good. Cozart and Peterson, I won't move. I said Caceres, I'll move. I'm not going to move Lavalette from 14, I don't think. But, I didn't have Justin Campbell in at the start of the season. So, he's a guy who's got to move in there. And the other guys that will obviously go into the top 30 for me are Peterson, Schmidt. I'll consider Trey Broussard, Cade Lewis, Lucas Moore, Savion Sims are all guys within consideration. I think I'd move Justin Campbell somewhere in the 18 range, I would say, just to be safe because he is hurt right now. I think I'm moving Liam Peterson into the top 10 spot immediately. And then Logan Scmidt for me, I think, is maybe 19. Savion Sims probably is going to move down to 30 for me. I probably won't have Broussard or Moore or Lewis in the top 30. But then again, I am moving out Mobley and I already replaced Valera there, and I'm moving down Cal Stevens. So Sims probably goes somewhere in the 30 range for me. Campbell, who I didn't have it originally, slots at 18. I think Logan Scmidt's 19, Peterson's top 10, and like I said, I'm moving Juneiker Caceres up to the top 3, and I might consider more Lewis and Broussard somewhere in this range as well. But so there you go. I have Peterson easy top 10. I might even consider him probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I'd probably say Peterson right now is easy top 5. Which means Scmidt probably is more like top 15, and then Sims probably is still in the late 20s to early 30s. So I know Jeff and I will hammer out more of the prospect rankings with the draft guys when he comes back, when we get back together this week. We are going to cover every single draft pick as well. We're going to give you a breakdown on every pick. We'll probably spend a segment each day on a group of guys to talk about. So we'll make sure we'll have all 20 picks covered for you. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the trading deadline. I wanted to revisit the 2025 class a little bit more. I guess I did that with promotion. So we'll dive into that a little bit more. So we'll have much more to cover for you as well as the All-Star game. I'm looking forward to Cade Smith hopefully saving a game that Parker Messick wins for the AL. I know it doesn't count anymore towards home field advantage, but we can hope, right? Even though the AL is not in good shape for this year, the NL looks very dominant. But we'll see what happens. I hope you guys enjoy the Home Run Derby. I hope you enjoy the All-Star game. I'll be watching. I love getting all of baseball's best players on the field together and watching it. The Sandy Alomar home run in 95 was a great memory. I was there in 2019 when Shane Bieber won the MVP at home. That was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of other All-Star moments. Remember when Torrey Hunter robbed Barry Bonds in 2002, even though that game ended in a tie? Let me know what some of your favorite All-Star moments are in the comments from years past. I remember when, Randy Johnson threw over John Kruk's head in 97 in Cleveland. Pedro Martinez that year was just incredibly electric. There's just been a lot of fun moments over the years in the All-Star game. So comment with your favorite. Remember, the year 2000 in Boston? They rolled out Ted Williams and had the century lineups, all that kind of stuff. Was so much fun. So comment your favorite All-Star memories below. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the All-Star game. Let me know what you think of where the new prospects sit in the Guardians farm system. We'll be back to cover everything from the draft, the wrapping up the draft, as well as the All-Star break and the trade deadline, all for you on Locked On Guardians, as only we can do. Make sure you're tuning in every day. We could use a new Apple Podcast review. It's been since May. So if you're new to the show or you never left a review, let us know what you think. Even give us some constructive criticism if you are so inclined to do that. And in the meantime, have a great day and go Guardians go.